हारा दुख सुखरास ना करो ना कोल आगे जाके करो अरदास वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह। वार श्री भगवती जी की पातशाही 10वीं। प्रथम भगवती सिमर कै गुरु नानक ਲਈ ਧਿਆਏ अंगद गुरु ते अमरदास रामदासे होई सहाय अर्जन हर गोबिंद नो सिमरो श्री हर राय श्री हर कृष्ण ਧਿਆਈਐ जिस डिठै सब दुख जाए तीक बहादुर सिमरिਐ कर नौ निधावे धाय। 10वें पातशाह श्री गुरु गोबिंद सिंह महाराज ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਭ ਥਾਈਂ ਹੋ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਇ। ਦਸਾਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜੋਤ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਧਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਇਹ ਨਿਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਣ ਕਾਰਨ ਕਰਨ ਪਿਤਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀਓ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਹਜ਼ੂਰ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਦਤਾਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਮਿਹਰ ਦਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਸਾਈਬਰ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੁੜੀ ਹੈ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗਿਆਂ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਮਿਹਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਆਪ ਕਰਾਣੀ ਅੱਖਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਘਾਟਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਹੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਚਿਤਾਵੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੇ we are on पौड़ी number 36 है ना जी।
हाँ जी जी ज्ञान खंड में
ठीक है। ज्ञान खंड में ज्ञान प्रचंड पिछे नाद विनोद कोड आनंद धर्म खंड की वाणी रूप पिछे घाड़त घड़िए बहुत अनूप ताकियां गल्लां कथियां न जाए जे को कहे पिछे पछताए तिथे घड़िए सुरत मत मन बुद्ध तिथे घड़िए सुरां सिद्धां की सुध। हाँ जी
thank you Viji. Viji, can you also give us a brief introduction on this body?
ठीक है। So the way we have come across last two bodies, that in the first one we have talked about the systems and the surroundings and how are these systems working around us and how these inputs and our actions and results are. And then in the next one, that was the Dharam Khand, and then in Gyan Khand we have talked about the knowledge, and then we also saw that what understandings we get from this knowledge. We understand the surroundings, and it is also we will understand our belief systems, we can explore them. So those are the other things where Guruji is explaining that the belief systems which we have, or whatever was prevailing that time, he is saying that that is not the end. There are many of these, and so you have to, so it makes us to think. And now finally he is talking about the actions. So in this body it says that Gyan Khand mein Gyan Prachand, that in the Gyan Khand, by the knowledge, or when we acquire knowledge, by that our knowledge becomes stronger and stronger, and we become more knowledgeable person. And that is what the first line I am taking. Gyan Khand mein Gyan Prachand means our knowledge becomes more active, or we become more knowledgeable, we get a better understanding. Then Tithe Nad Vinod Kod Anand, that then we get the understanding, like I said, that we understand the surrounding and we understand the belief systems, we explore them, and we understand the realities of those things, that okay, what is being told or what is prevailing, that what is the real reality. And then he is taking us to the next step, which is Saram Khand ki Bani Roop. So by Saram, it is the actions or the effort which we put into that. So now Guruji is putting us to actions, and then he's saying the real beauty is in the actions, and that the real beauty by which he means is that the real understanding of these things will come when we try to apply them. So tithe kadat kadiye bahut anup. So this is where the beauty will be polished or beauty will come out of it. So this is where the outcome will be seen and the results will be seen. And then he says, "ताकियां गल्लां कथियां ना जाए, जेको कहे पीछे पछताए." That, see, it is when you put things into actions, we cannot define the outcomes. There is no limits to it. Like, if somebody is playing and I am watching from outside, and I cannot define that how better this person will play or how better he will perform, because once I define, he will outperform that or he will underperform. So whatever we will define, that that other person will outperform it or underperform it, or that they will never match our thinking, because in the actions, in the realities, when we put things to actions, the results cannot be imagined. So only the outcomes will be seen. That is where Guruji is saying that it cannot be described. And if we describe also, then once we see the results, we will regret that, okay, this is not. And then he's saying that what is going to happen? Tithe kadiya surt mat man bodh. So now this is where in actions we have to work on our mind, our thinking, and our belief system, and all of that. And then tithe kadiya sura siddha ki sudh. So then we will attain what everybody else has attained, or whatever Bhagats have attained. That is what Guruji is pointing us, that once we work on it, once we put things into action, that is where we will start seeing things, what has been seen by the people whom we are calling as the realized people. So again, taking this to our day-to-day life, this is where Guruji is saying that the action is the most important thing. So whatever we first we understand our surroundings, we understand under which conditions we have to operate, we understand the outcomes of our decisions, and then we attain the knowledge and we question things around us, and then we make up our mind based on this guru's knowledge, and then we put things into action. That is where the real beauty or the real outcome will come. And finally, he is taking us to a level where the gurus or the realized people, once we put things into action, our vision will become like their vision and we will see things like they saw it. That is where the real understanding will come. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Vijay. Eileen?
हाँ हाँ जी
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that you also posted on the blog a few questions on the Pauri. If you can just give us your take on this Pauri, and if you can just repeat the question for the participants, and that would be great.
okay I well, first question that I didn't put there yet, but I was struggling with it a little bit, is I forgot how we are defining the word saram. I know that sometimes it means modesty, something like that, and I think it's a different, slightly different meaning here. But in any case, the way that I was understanding this story was, it's pointing us to the wisdom realm, and in that realm, or in that state of mind or state of being, there's something that's happening there, which is in the mind. It's created in a unique way that can't be described well. And if you try to speak on it, you're just kind of always behind or trying to catch up. This is my understanding of what the words are. And then finally, it also says that in this state of mind is where that you construct or create the consciousness of God, and it's where the understanding happens within the mind intellect, and that's where these elite yogis' awareness of God's is happening. And so So my questions were coming from trying to understand this part about the creation. I understand this part, this Garati or Garatia, which is Bohat Anup. I think this is something is being created or crafted, something very unique. And so my first question was, who's doing the creating? Because usually when I think about discussions of the mind in Gurbani, it's usually talking about letting the Naam affect your mind or letting Shabad wash your mind. And so here it's talking about there's some kind of activity or creation happening. So that was interesting to me. I was trying to understand who's doing the creating. Is it the creator or is it me? And then I was also thinking then, following that idea, when we're talking about the yogis' awareness of gods or when they have their consciousness, are we saying this is just like, it's kind of a general idea of you become aware of gods or creation? Or are we talking about awareness, a specific kind of awareness of a Kalpurak? So I don't know what that last line really means for us. So those are my questions.
Cool. Thank you, ji. हाँ जी, गुरजीत वीर जी, ऑस्ट्रेलिया. हाँ जी, गुरजीत वीर जी.
So this is the most difficult state in the four khands, you will say, because Dharam Khand is only accepting that I have to earn this Dharam. I was reading, there was an article in a Hindu site, and they defined Dharam as in such a beautiful way. They said the word Dharam comes from three. The Tatu is three, and three means to bind together. So that's the best definition of a Dharam we could get, and he has clearly said that there is no word in English which can specify Dharam. So English can only say religion, and religion means finding God, which is a very vague sort of, and Dharam is the real thing is to join your mool and your man together. That's coming from Sanskrit. So once you have thought that I want to join them, then you need the Gyan. And the Gyan has to come from the scriptures. And the Gyan is not written in a straight language. The Gyan is written in a very esoteric term, and the Gyan Prachanda, I could find the closest word is gnosis. It's written with G, and it's a Greek word, and it specifies its Gyan or enlightenment comes as an esoteric text. So far, all our tikas and other sort of literature hasn't really gone that far. We have only done very word-to-word sort of meaning and translations. But Gyan Prachand is a state where you will basically understand what Gurbani is. At this stage, we have hardly any understanding. You will learn that language in which those things are used, the context, and basically everything. And you have to explain this. The best thing is that wherever you see the word Prachand, there is a next word is Balya. That Prachand Gyan is to burn, and when you burn something, it gives you light. Then you have to walk within that light. It's like a torch. So this is the most difficult stage in all of these, because you need to truly understand from which angle the Gurbani is written. And if you can attain that, there's a very nice, if I could quote you that line, we read that Shabad during the wedding, Bya hua mere babla, Gurmukhe har paya, Agyan andhera katya, Gur Gyan Prachand balaya. This is what is Gyan Khand mein Gyan Prachand. And Valaya Gur Gyan andhera binsya Hari Naam Padarth Ladda. This is Saram Khand. That you have obtained it, and once you have obtained it, now the wedding will start from here. Vyah hoa mere babla, Gurumukhe har paya. This state is Saramkhand. Saramkhand ki Bani Roop. Whatever message you get in Saramkhand is polishing your wisdom. Roop ban raya buddhi da. Because it says that Pehli Karoop Kujat Kulakhani, it was very distorted wisdom. And now, Abki Sundar Saroop Sulakhani. There are 3 negative and 3 positive words. That is what is now in Saramkhand. The Jeev has to do all that Saram to be one with its mood. And this is what I have understood. Saramkhand ki Bani Roop Tithe Kaart Kadiye Bahut Anup. You know, you normally have to grind this wisdom, polish it through Shabad. There's no other grinder there, just the Shabad. So, bahut anup. Anup is you can't describe it. Upama to pare. Which is beyond description is anup. Takiyan gallan kathiyan na jaye. No one can tell. If someone has written those, it's beyond explanation basically. Je ko kahe piche pachtaye. Because this is something which we say, Paro Kabir gunge gud khaya, uche se kya kahiye. It can't be explained within Maya, that state of Saramkhand. Tithe kaart kadiye bahut takiyan gallan kathiyan na jaye. Je ko kahe piche pachtaye. Tithe kadiye surt mat. See, the surt used to go into Trikuti. That has been stopped. The mat has got all the manmat and durmat in it. It is now pure gurmat. This is how these things change. Man buddha. Man is with the sihari. Mani buddhi. The wisdom within the mind is getting now polished. And they have specially mentioned last 2 lines. Tithe kadiye suran siddha ki suddha. Sur comes from Pandit. Pandit is talking about Surs and Shivji is talking about Siddh. Guru Nanak has made it very clear that if you think you have obtained the state of Mukti, you have to go through this state. Show us your Gyan Khand and show us your Saram Khand. No one has ever obtained oneness with, with the ultimate God until he goes through. So if someone can explain that this is how it can be done, otherwise we don't agree to anyone. So this is my take on this.
Hanji, thank you, Virji. So, Eileen, did that answer any of your questions, or you still have the questions on the what is getting created here?
No, I think that definitely speaks to what I kind of thought. It's a mind. If I understand it, what you're saying is it's a mind process, and the crafting or this creating is kind of like the polishing or the processing that's happening in the mind. That's very hard to describe. So I think that that kind of connects the dots for me. I think that the only part that I wasn't completely clear of. Maybe this is not really instructional from how to understand the Pauri, but I'm just kind of curious if you feel this means this is just a very special process, or it's just sort of talking about the way ideas are formed in the mind. This is basically like this enlightenment is specific to Gurbani and not just the way that anyone is enlightened about any idea. I guess it's kind of maybe implicit here. I'm not really sure.
Okay. Thank you, ji. Hanji, Gurdeep ji, Montreal.
Hanji, Sasikali. Yeah, Gurdeep ji explained very well, what he said. That's true, because the Gurbani also had other places as he gave a quote from Lama, and he's right. This is how we go up. And answering to Eileen, I think everybody has that capacity to achieve this, provided that they know the proper way. Not necessarily only through Gurbani, but there are other a lot of religious books which can also guide. But somewhere you can find a shortcut to go, somewhere it's a long way to go. So all the paths are there. But with Gurbani, it's a bit shortcut. Directly, creator is a creator, but the human being becomes a creator slowly with the stages. By the time we go to Karma Khand, then after that he go to the Sachkhand. So once he is like the sun rays, when they are on earth, they are rays only, but moment you go near the sun, they become the part of the sun. So there are no more rays, but rays do the job which the sun cannot do himself, coming down to the earth. He sends his rays. Closer to sun, no difference between rays and the sun. The same way, when with the mind and all your efforts and all the saram khand, jnana khand, taram khand, jnana khand, saram khand, karam khand, then you will achieve into the Sach khand. So this is the practice. This is how you will practice within your mind. All these creations are within the body, because it has mentioned many times the God created, even Bible says he created the man in his own image. And even Gurbani said the same thing. Jin har japya se har hoye har milya keel kalali jiyo. So I think this is the process, a shortcut, provided that we understand, and we, with the efforts of all of us during discussions and reading the other books, I think this is a track. This is where you are near almost on the third stage, where you have a bliss, you have a blissful life. You are always happy. You are always in a state of mind. There's no problems. So this is how I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Virji. हाँ जी, गुरदीप वीर जी, अमृतसर.
हाँ जी वीर जी, I have been listening, but what is being talked about Dhyan and Dhyan, somehow whether Dhyan is leading to Dhyan or whether Dhyan is leading to Dhyan, that is the question coming to my mind. Gurjeet Virji has been telling that you have to rise the steps step by step, and first you have to gain Gyan, and then only it is possible to work upon, and then only to mold the surat or mold the mind, और जो सुरत दा करना है वो ज्ञान तो बाद possible है stage by stage. But when we see the history of the religions, or when we see that, take the example of Buddha, Buddha nu Gyan dhyan to baad hoya. The philosophy of the site which Gurjeet Virji has mentioned about explaining Karam, that it has originated from three, and whole, I mean, if you explore their sites of Hindu religion, they also tell that do Dhyan first and then Gyan will come. So these are some of the questions coming to my mind, which I want to speak about Gurjeet Virji's further comments also, like from the previous Dharamkhand explanation, where body has been told to contain that card, or that, I mean, where this, I mean, the aim is, of course, मिलाप जो है, that is true. Like, लेकिन the quote which he has given, विवाह हुआ मेरे बाबला गुरुमुखे हर पाया ज्ञान अंधेरा बिनसिया. So विवाह होने तो बाद ज्ञान उपजिया या ज्ञान नाल विवाह होया. So the quote itself is coming first, मिलाप हो गया, पर मिलाप ते बख्शिश नाल ही होना है. And work जड़ा है, from the very first day we have to start working on surat. और जब एक्शन लेवांगे ही नहीं तो ज्ञान किस तरह होएगा. एक्शन लेवांगे ही नहीं, सुरत नू करना शुरू नहीं करांगे तो सुरत जुड़ेगी किस तरह. So these are some of the questions, like previously in the previous session we were discussing. These are steps or stages which have to be gone one step by one, I mean, in a progressive way. But my mind, I was also thinking this was the conventional meaning which on the surface which we had gained. But when I started working in my mind, then these questions came to my mind. So these are two thoughts. I have serious reservations about what Gurjeet Virji is telling. Many times I totally disagree with him what he is telling, because Gurbani is using metaphors many times, but like man hali kirsani karni, where Guru Sahib has used metaphor, mannu hal, that does not mean hal itself is man. But sometimes I feel what he is telling, the meaning of this is body only. This is not the tarti, is not tarti. The language used is tarti. That means that earth has been placed inside this din, raat. The context shows is the meaning of this language is tarti, that earth only. But he is telling the meaning is body. So I am not understanding what he is
Anji,
telling,
I think so. Yeah, let me go to him and then answer this question. Gurjit Virji?
which come to my mind, and I totally disagree with Gurjit Virji many times.
Anji, sure. Ji. Anji, Gurjit Virji, can you specifically answer the question regarding which comes first, Gyan or Dhyan, and the quote you used earlier to explain this body?
This is very, yeah, I don't know where these confusions are arising. Very simply, dharam to baad gyan khand aa gaya. Where is the third? Where is the dhyan coming here? Who is bringing the dhyan here? Dhyan is not even mentioned here. Why this dhyan is coming? We are not Buddhist people. We have rejected every basic theory of the world. And we are just trying to go back to them. What for? It means you have no trust in Gurbani. You say Tarti is not inside. I say, when we say Paun Pani Agni Patal, this is Tarti Thapra Ki Dharamsal. You are gonna do the dharma in the outside world, or you are gonna do the dharma in the inside of your heart? Tell me one thing. You're not gonna distribute langar and get any mukti. This is outrightly rejected. You will eat the langar within your heart. ਗਿਆਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਧਿਆਨ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਗਿਆਨ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਗਿਆਨ ਹੈ ਗੁਰ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੀ ਗਿਆਨ ਹੈ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਧਿਆਨ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਥੋੜੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਉੱਥੇ you are not even basically following the mool mantra from the beginning. So gur prasad is what gyan prasad is. Dhyan always comes after gyan. Dhyan is the very last stage. ਜਦੋਂ ਗਿਆਨ ਪੂਰਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ then we reach Dhyan stage. With much.
ठीक है जी. Thank you जी. हाँ जी, दिलप्रीत वीर जी.
Anji, I think this is a very interesting discussion. I want to throw another curveball here. I think where I was also stuck on this one. So the way I am thinking this is, we have to wait on the grace part, okay, because that is the bakshish part, that is the next body. And then where I am stuck is that understanding will only come once we start implementing things. We will not be able to understand Gurbani if we don't implement it in our life. We will see people who will keep asking the same questions again and again. You meet them after 5 years, after 10 years, their questions are not changing. And they have asked that question to many scholars, to many people again and again. They have got similar or different answers, but they will not stop asking questions because they are not implementing any response. So once you start implementing anything, and then you will figure it out on your own, that is where our questions will end. So this is not a spectator's game. This is a Sikhi is a game of players. By means players is that we have to put our knowledge to work. We cannot keep learning and understanding the entire life. And then it says the most important step is to put things into action, because it says padiye nahi ped bujhiye pavana. So now bujhiye is that you have to break the riddle, or you have to understand the riddle. So the riddle or the understanding will only and only come when you put things into actions. Now smaller actions I take will enable me and will motivate me and will help me to take bigger actions. So initially everything starts with smaller actions. So smaller actions I take, I don't worry about $5 today. and every day I am not worried about $5. So at the end of the month or somewhere, I think that now if some situation comes where I have to give up $30 or $50, so I have started with $5 and done that many times, so now I can take an action and I can decide on $100. So then I have start doing that, and then tomorrow I may give up on $1,000. So this is how our habits will build, and once our habits are building, and slowly it will motivate us, and that is how we can take bigger action. But everything will start smaller. More and more we put things into actions, and we will get better results, and we can take bigger and better actions down the line. Now, there is another Shabad which has been used in the context that we will get everything after life. Okay, so if it is okay, Virja, I want to continue for 5 more minutes. Okay, so this Shabad is in the Gaudi Rag. Bhagat Tirlochan ji says in the Rahao Pankti that Ari Bai Gobind Naam Mat Bisre Rahao. So he is saying that you have to operate under the Naam, you have to operate under the guidance of Naam. That is the Pankti of Rahao. And then in the last line he is saying Vadat Tirlochan Te Nar Mukta Pitambara ke Hriday Vase. So then he is saying this person is Mukat. So now Gurbani also says Mare hue jo Mukat deoge Mukat na jane koila, means Mukti will come. We want Mukti in this life. Now then if we see that he is saying let's operate under Naam, under the action of truth, and then he is saying that person is Mukta. Now if we see this line in this context, it says Ant Kal jo Lakshmi Simre Aisi Chinta Main Je Mare Sarap Jon Valval Avtare. Now this Ant Kal is not that when I am dying. My Ant Kal, we want Mukti in this life. So my Ant Kal is happening 100 times in a day. Whenever a thought comes and I make a decision, so that decision is influenced by what? So what here I am interpreting is that if that decision is not influenced by truth, which in the Rahao Pankti he is saying Ari Bai Gobind Naam Mat Bisre, but Gobind Naam I have not followed that, but my decision is influenced by Lakshmi, means here money. So if under the influence of money I have taken a decision and I have deviated from the truth, then the result will be Sarap Jon Valval Avtare, that is the type of life or the result outcome will be. Antkal jo Istri Simre, again Antkal 20 decisions I am making every day. So now my decision is based or influenced by Istri.
Vijay,
Then this is the type of Hanji.
You're cutting out a lot,
Hello?
so if you can repeat the last line.
Oh, okay. See, now here Ari Bai Gobind Naam Mat Bisred, all the decisions have to be influenced by the truth. It now Antkal jo Istri Simre Aisi Chinta Meje Mare, now my decision is influenced by Istri woman, then this is the outcome I will get. Antkal jo Ladke Simre, I have deviated from the truth and the decision which I made was influenced or I have favored my children and deviated from the truth. So this is the outcome I am getting. So everywhere this whole thing is based on our actions. So we have to put things into action, and it is not a spectator's game, and we will not understand Gurbani until unless we put things into action. And that is where the last line of this body, I am interpreting it that way, that it says that once we start putting things into action, our outcome cannot be defined, and we will start seeing things like gurus, and that is where, as Gurjeet Virji said, we will get the real understanding of Gurbani, because we are putting things into action. Now once we put things into action, we understand, and that is where the real understanding of Gurbani will come, and we will become like them. So tithe kadiye sura siddha ki sud, that we will get that of type of understanding, and that means we will understand the real crush of Gurbani at that point once we start putting things into action. So that is what my take is. That is why action is the most important thing after knowledge. And then Dhyan also, I am relating it to actions only. It is nothing more than a thought which is resulting into action, which will come after knowledge. So knowledge, understanding will come, then we put it into action, then we see the outcome, we may go back to knowledge, but it is a iterative process, but we have to go through it. We cannot say that I will get all the knowledge and then only action will start. It has to start simultaneously, then only the outcome or the understanding will come. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Virji. Eileen? Yes, Eileen?
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's fine.
these comments are really insightful for me. I realized I had just been studying some of the Anand Sahib, and I was really fascinated by this one part that this is reminding me of now, where we're talking about doubt, sasa, and it was talking about karmi, sahajna, upjay, vinna, sahaj, sahasana, jai.
Sasana Jai.
Sahasana jai. And that's really interesting because that's an interesting connection between the mind and the process of the mind as you gain the knowledge. And at one point does it become strong enough for your belief, right? So if you have this awareness and you're sort of like, I know what I should do, I'm learning what I should do, I think it's true, at what point does it sort of tip the scale to influence my actions? And I think it's really interesting to think about. You could build that trust early. Maybe some people are more trusting than others to just be able to start to act, and their belief comes very early. And maybe other people, they're just taking a really long time to make that leap of faith. And I don't know, that must be some part of that processing in the mind of getting to that level of awareness. So I just wanted to share that observation.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Hanji, Gurjeet Virji?
I will try to explain the Shabad which Pai Sahib has picked up, because that Shabad has been explained in a very wrong manner. Antakal is this life in which we have to get rid of the Kal. In no other life we can get rid of the Kal. So we have got this life to finish the Kal. The Kal is due to our man. If the man is not there, there is no Kal. He becomes a Kal. Jeev becomes a Kal. Jeev is only Kal because he's under Kal because he has this man. Gobind Nama Matabishra. You look for any tikas if they can tell you what is Gobind Nam. No one knows what Gobind Nam is. It is only through Gobind Nam that the mind will be subdued and ultimately will merge back into its mold. So this is what is Bya Hua Mere Babala. Bya Hua. What is the condition? Gurmukhi Har Paya. Jedi Gurmukhi Buddhi ban gayi hai, Gyanwan hai, she has merged with the husband. This is all happening within. So in that Shabad which Pai Sahib Ji was, Pai Dilpreet Singh was saying, Gobind Nama Mat Bisra. This is advice to the man. He has to remember Gobind Nam. But Gobind Nam is nothing but Gobind's Gyan. What is Gobind? Naam is nothing but the attributes of Gobind, which is nothing but knowledge. So it's all through Gyan. And then he says, Antakal, jo Lakshmi Simre. In this human life, if we simmer Lakshmi, which is Jad, if you say, remember Puttar, they are also Jad. You are human, you are a snake now, not only afterwards. If you have to read, Antakal jo ladke simre, aisi chinta mein jai mare, sarp. He is sarp now, joni bal bal uttare. And he will get into reincarnations. It's not that he will get into snake, he is snake now. But, we read this in Sukhmani Sahib as well. Kartut pasuki manas jat. His action is like a snake. He is snake now, not afterwards. I don't know which afterwards he will come. But one thing Bhagavad says, Joni bal bal uttare, he will be in reincarnations. I don't know which ones. The best part is, Antakal jo istri simra, who loves his wife. Aisi chinta mein je mare, Veshwa. He is Veshwa, he is prostitute now. Because prostitute the June nahi hundi. It's lady become prostitute. June nahi hai prostitute. This is not a June, it's a lady's June. That's where the whole theme clarifies. So we have to think from that angle. He is Sarp now, and he will be in reincarnations further. It's not that he will become a snake. No one can tell who will, even Bhagats can't tell in which reincarnation who will go. So this is the main theme I wanted to clarify. And then always, Anji.
Vijay, if you can explain the line Tithe Kadiye Surat Mat Man Budh. So what is meant by Surat, Mat, Man and Budh?
I think I explained it. Let me start again. Surat goes into Maya. And it goes into Maya through the 7 holes of your head. And Kabir ji says, Mool Dware Bandya Band. He says, I never let my surat goes into these 7 holes. Main inu gardan to thalle ban liya. This is what Gyan Prachand is. Let your surat be tied to your mool in the hirda. It doesn't go further from there. Mat ki hai. We started with Manmat. Then we have also obtained Durmat. They need to be polished. They need to be basically shrugged off, and only we get Gurmat out of it. And this is nothing but Manadi Buddhi. Man has now changed into Buddhi. Man was, when it thinks it is Man, when he understands it becomes Buddhi. This is the main difference between Jap. That when the Man will do the Jap, he will become basically a Buddhi. And this is what it is aimed at. So these are the 3 things, but this is all done through Shabad. There is no other lathe or any other grinder. It's only done through Shabad, and Shabad is nothing but knowledge, Brahm Gyan.
And if you can just repeat the meaning for the last line, Tithe Kadiye Sura Siddha Ki Sudh. So what is Sura and Siddha mentioned here?
Sura is the Devtas, which are basically an invention of Pandit. So Sura vaste bhi, if the Pandit, Sur is the one who is in Sur with Sachkhand. Okay, who are in tune. Surnar Munjan Amrit Khoj de. So this is what it is said. So Sur is the one who is basically within he's in tune with the Sachkhand. So this is Sura. And Siddha is because he has been mentioning Kudi Kude Tis. Siddha, I have also come here, the followers of Jogi. Hello.
Thank you, Vijay. Hanji, Gurdeep Virji, Amritsar.
The point is revolving interestingly around Gyan, Dhyan and Sabad. And Gurjeet Virji has very rightly said, Gur Sabad hi Gyan hai. Gurbani vich bhi aanda hai, Gyan, Dhyan, Gur Sabad hai Micha. But again, the question still remains that that whether Gyan will lead to that Milap or Gur Sabad will lead to Milap, they are both meaning the same thing. Is it the meaning of this Gyan? He is telling that when you are attached to Sabad, when you are wholly solely are guided by the Sabad or Gurbani, then it will lead to Milap. Or is that the Gyan he is telling, or that is one has to gain first? I mean, is that the knowledge? What he is telling, that Gur Sabad knowledge? What he is telling, what he is meaning by Gyan
Anji.
or Gyan?
I think that's what he referred, but we can go back to him. But let me first go back to Gurdeep Virji, Montreal.
The way I understand, first question was the Taram, the Tarti, earth, body. Gurbani says, ਇਹ ਸਰੀਰ ਸਭ ਧਰਮ ਹੈ ਸੱਚੇ ਕੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋਤ ਗੋਜ ਰਤਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਛੁਪ ਰਹੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੁਰਮੁਖੇ ਕੱਢੇ ਖੋਤ. The body is also mentioned as an earth in Gurbani. Another place say, ਇਹ ਸਰੀਰ ਧਰਤੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਜਿਹਾ ਕੋ ਬੀਜੇ ਤਿਹਾ ਫਲ ਪਾਏ. I may be little bit my word may be this way or that way, but you can find it exactly. So in Guru Granth Sahib, this body is also given the name of earth, and it produces all those things. It has all those things whatever is existing in the Brahman. So whole Brahman is the body. Gyan means, and other my point is, first it should be dhyan. Tunme dhyan mein janya. That's a concentration of the mind. We can achieve nothing if we don't, our mind is not concentrated. How can we drive in a car? How can we do any work? So dhyan is first important, then Gyan will come after. This is my way, this is how I understand the Gurbani. So tunme dhyan mein janya. Once the Gyan is there, everything stay away back. Now you are in the Gyan. Now you know, you achieve all the knowledge through Gurbani or whatever, either through Sabad. Sabad is also the name of the God. Sabad doesn't mean this written word. Sabd utpat parlo sabde hoi. Sabad is the creator also. That is also known as Sabad. With the help of these words, the written words, we will merge into that Sabad. So to me, it looks like nothing wrong. Everybody said these wonderful things. And I know there's a life after death. Gurbani says many places. At one place says, Sarb ki joon gaya. I will give you a line later on, next week maybe. So we should not think that, I know also what they said, during the daytime we change whatever, when we become a lobby, it's a life of a dog. That's true. When we are thinking like Istri means actually it's a sex. It's not a lady. So when you think of the sex at the end of your life, near the death side, so I understand, then you will get a life where you will need to fulfill your sexual part, sexual desire of this part. That's where you become a Vesava. To me, give that during the day life, also near the end life, it works, it happens, whatever it says. It's mentioned many times, other places in Guru Granth Sahib. Next time we will discuss. Thank you. This is how I take it.
Hanji, thank you, Virji. Hanji, Dilpit Virji, any further comments on what you heard?
Hanji, I think it is very good. And one clarification I have on what I said was that Sarap Jone means, I also referred that you will behave like that in this life. So I do not mean about the next life, that our actions, those are the outcomes. We take actions under this type of influence or under the influence of these, and that is how our behavior will be, outcome will be. Now HK Virji has asked a very good question. This is how I see it, that Shabad is the knowledge, and then we have to put dhyan in that knowledge, is that we have to study that knowledge. And from that, once we study that knowledge or Shabad, that is where the Gyan or understanding of it will come. And once we have the understanding, and then we have to put it into implementation or actions. Now, once we put it into actions and implementation, that is where the grace and meher is going to happen. And after that, only the milap will happen, and we will become Gurbani and we will become like him. So again, Shabad is the knowledge, and studying that is the dhyan, putting interest into it and putting effort into it. That is where the dhyan or understanding will come. And then we have to put this understanding into implementation in practices. Once we start implementing and practicing that, that is where the grace will happen. And only after the grace, the milap will come. This is how I see it. Thank you.
हाँ जी
Haji,
thank you
may I interrupt in between?
हाँ जी sure जी
Haji, what Gurdeep Virji Montreal was telling that about Dharti, what I meant here was that Dharti has been used as a metaphor. So language meaning of Dharti is not body. Language meaning of Earth will remain Earth, planet Earth. So, but and in this hymen, in this stanza, when you will see that the context meaning also is Earth only, and the metaphor meaning what that's why I gave the example of man hali insani karni, because Guru Sahib, where he has mentioned certain things as metaphor, that man nu hal bana, that does not mean hal is man or man is hal. Hal remains hal in language, man remains man in language.
Something?
हाँ जी गुरदीप वीर जी
Kaya andar नौ खंड पृथ्वी हट पटन बाजारा. I will give you the page number everything next time. Kaya खोजे सो गुरमुख होवे. Actually the kaya नहीं खोजना. If I'm at Sari Bani next week, I will give you the lines, codes, and page numbers. So we don't want to confuse anybody. This whole system, as I said, the body and the earth is very much similar. Jo Brahman de soi pinde, jo khoje so pave. These are not lines I created. I read from Guru Granth Sahib. This is my understanding. So anyway, I don't mean to confuse anybody, but I can give
No,
you
Gurdeep Virji, I totally
more
agree with
details
you what you
next
are
week
telling.
with the page number and the lines. Then you interpret the way whatever you want.
हाँ जी
What you
So
are
why?
telling, I
I,
totally agree, sir.
so I will just go one final round Dilpit Veer ji
I think you said it right. So, in the context of this body, it says, ताकियां गल्लां कथियां ना जाए, जेको कहे पीछे पछताए. So, this is our understanding or will change over a period of time, and it will change as we put things into action. More and more we will put things into action, our understandings will get better over a period of time. So that is why everybody's understanding is little bit different, because our actions are little bit different, and it will be always the case, and we will always have little bit of disagreement and some agreement, some disagreement. So this is a very healthy discussion and a very good learning experience. And this body is also telling us same thing, that once we put things into action, our understanding will grow. So we all have to put things into action so that we all grow together. Thank you.
ठीक है thank you Veer ji Eileen
Well, I think it's interesting that we had this discussion a little bit about how we understand things and the metaphors, because we're also talking about having enlightenment in consciousness in the mind, and how we're taking this knowledge and making it real for ourselves. So one thing that I do is, when I'm reading a lot, is I try to visualize, because a lot of the concepts are still very new for me. So it helps me if Guru Nanak has used a metaphor, I try to really think about that metaphor, because that was a choice. Why this metaphor was used and not something else? Like, so I try to think about that meaning, and maybe it has a lot of layers of meaning, but I try to really respect that that choice of the way it's described, and what knowledge can I get from that choice of a metaphor like earth, and what might it mean. So I think it's part of the process to think of it on many levels.
Thank you very much जी हाँ जी गुरजीत वीर जी
Hanjiviji, there is a restriction. I don't know why Gurdeep Virji is getting excited about Professor Sahib Singh. Professor Sahib Singh has done word to word meaning. He never knew what Brahmagyan means. That's why there's a brawl going on in Canada about the Jew Joru Sirnavani. You could listen what the problem is coming out from there. Because he has tried to explain things in an ultra simple way, and Gurbani is not ultra simple that way. Brahmagyan means something Chetan has to be involved. So, Rati Rutti Thiti Var is Jad. That's where Tarti has already come. Why you are mentioning that Tarti again? Rati Rutti Thiti Var is all happening on this earth, the outside one. But this is Tarti Thaprakhi Dharamsal is where we have to earn the religion. That's everyone has got that earth within him. ऐसे सतगुरु ते खाली को नहीं कोई नहीं. So we have to think from that angle. Satguru is Chetan. If there is Satguru, there is also the Man. So the Man Hali is Man has to be made to do the effort like the Hali do it. Okay? It's not effort with hands or legs. It's an effort with wisdom. Brahma Gyan totally involves wisdom, and Gyan can also totally involve wisdom. If you can understand the esoteric nature, if you can understand word, I have just quoted to you, which literally means parchand. There is very hard way. We can't even find a proper meaning for the word parchand. The closest I've gone to is gnosis, Gnosis, and it says esoteric knowledge of spiritual truth. And none of our teachers, forget Sahib, see, none of them has even tried to touch this. That's why we are all trying to get towards that side. That's the whole aim. So we are not trying to say that. It was not their topic. Whatever they did is okay. But if we are sticking to that, we are reaching nowhere. Let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Virji. Anji, Gurdeep Virji, Montreal, final words.
Anji, it's interesting. Everything is interesting. Make me think further. But the Gurbani says, "Kahire ban khojan jai, sarvanvasi sada lepa tohi sang samai, o pambajjo bas bas hai, mukar majar se shai, तैसे ही हर बसे निरंतर काटी खोजो पास." हाँ जी, thank you.
Thank you, Virji. हाँ जी, Gurdeep Virji, अमृतसर.
Virji, for some part मेरा connection disconnect हो गया सीगा.
हाँ जी, any final comments on this body? हाँ जी.
Sir, we have to concentrate upon this surat and work upon it. That is what is the meaning I get from this.
Thank you, Virji. Anji, we really appreciate everyone joining discussion and participating. And I think argument is always good for discussion, but it should be constructive. So I think we are not here to judge anyone, but we really appreciate everyone joining every week. And I think we can end today's discussion, and then we continue with the next body next week. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.